Good evening. Welcome to the QCIS channel. On this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. My name is Leon Jones, and what I'm going to talk about here in this video, and I'm going to deal with construction contracts. I'm going to talk about corporations, partnerships, and sole proprietorships. Now, a few weeks ago, I did a video on this channel, and you can go view that material on different types of construction. And yes, I also have some requests to do a lab. I'm going to show you how to do a lab with the Excel that's coming up. And you can actually do a lab online once you have everything submitted to you. But getting into organizations. Now, it's very important that you understand that when we deal with construction, construction is just like hospitality and manufacturing. In fact, I call these three areas the triple threat. Hospitality, which includes retail, hotels, restaurants, casinos, and then you have your manufacturing, all your factories, and you have construction. Generally, these three fields, they have something that is very common, and it's not always good. And what they have in common is there are times where you're going to get into these industries and there are a lot of bad managers. This is where you get the high turnover of individuals. Of course, they don't pay a lot of money unless you're in a union. So when we deal with partnerships, we deal with partnerships because for the most part, one partner might have a skill set that you don't that you need, vice versa. Also, you can share in the responsibilities. You can network with a partnership. It's basically two corporations coming together on a project. Then you have your single corporation. You have your sole proprietorship. Now, let's hope this works today. All right. Now, again, these handouts are from a course that I took at Old Dominion University, and all these PowerPoints are from my professor, Dr. Shar, very good instructor. And I actually took this course this past spring of 2024. So I'm just going to give you an insight about forms of organizations. Forms of organizations. Now, the forms of a business organization. Now, you see this diagram right here. You have your proprietorships. You also have your partnerships and your corporations. You see the circle where they all go hand in hand. Because when you have a project, each of these organizations are going to be part of the project. Now, when we deal with proprietorships, are basically firms that are owned by individuals. So the management is very simple and the documentation is not formal. And when you have a proprietorship, it can be discontinued at any time. Now, of course, proprietorships in the US from 2014 to 2018 range from 23 million to 27.1 million. Now, I'm going to say this is based off all of the construction businesses because when you have proprietorships, licensing may be required, and that depends on the regulations. Okay. With a proprietorship, it's basically a simple process of profit distributions. The eyes of the law, the firm, and the individual are all the same. If you look at your organizational chart, you have all you. Well, you are everything. And when it comes to a sole proprietorship, you don't have a tax ID number or EIN number. You have your social security number. And basically, when it comes to the profits that you make as a sole proprietorship, they're taxed for personal income. So it's just like going to work on a 9 to 5, you get a paycheck and the taxes come out. Well, this is the same way and a sole proprietorship actually works. It's just one person. Again, the proprietor acts solely on behalf of the proprietorship, and the proprietor is personally liable for indebtedness created in arrangements with third parties. Now, when we deal with partnership, that's an association of two or more persons. So basically, anyone has something unique of value to the firm. Again, I mentioned earlier, skills, talents, other assets, land, facilities, equipment, and of course, money. Now, again, the proprietorships. What you do with a proprietorship, well, we already talked about a proprietorship, a partnership. Well, you know, a proprietorship, you can have a partnership with two sole proprietorships as well, because you're just dealing with two or more people working together to form a partnership. So basically, with a partnership, your resources, they're joined together. So there's joint control. And when it comes to partnerships, the reason why they're so good because partnerships enable the partners to undertake larger projects, and they can utilize each partner's strong capabilities. Also, so I'll move down here. All right, profit distribution. Simple. All partners were equally shared in the firm, and per the value of each partner's contribution. So that contribution could be technical expertise, cash, the value of the contributed asset. Now, if there is no initial decision, then the profit distribution will be shared on an equal basis, almost like socialism. All right, as we continue with partnerships, a partnership pays no income tax. A partnership pays no income tax because it falls on the partners. Now, a partnership cannot file suit in its own name. Suit must be filed in the name of individual owners or partners. And when it comes to the use of profits, then we have the reinvestment. That's the potential company growth. And we look at the partner's salaries. So, what I'm getting to is each partner should pay income tax on the earned salary and the prorated share of the profits that were left in the company. So as we look at everything here, as I move myself down, you have the partnership. So you have the partner, and you have the third party. Now, on a previous slide, we saw this, the proprietorship. So the proprietor was responsible for everything. So under the proprietorship, we had the third party. So basically, here you have the agent, the principal, and of course, the third parties. Now, let's move down here again. You have it twice here. Now, the formation of a partnership can be through an oral agreement advised to be in a written fashion. So when we come to forming a partnership, you should clearly state all of the rights, responsibilities, and obligations. So each partner must understand that they're an agent of other partners, so must bear considerable liability of others. Contracts entered by one partner will obligate other partners in the partnership. So basically, everybody shares in the equal responsibilities. The role of each partner. Well, each partner is a general agent and principal for itself. Partners are jointly and severely liable for any debts there are. When it comes to partnerships, each role, there are a great deal of risk. Now, again, I am talking about construction. Now, again, the role of each partner. Or you can have a withdrawal of any partner will be associated with all accumulated obligations to the date of withdrawal. Now, remember something. If one partner leaves and you get a new partner, well, the new partner is not responsible for any indebtedness generated by the partnership prior to joining the firm. Also, partners cannot sell, assign, or mortgage an interest without a full consent of others. So when you have a partnership, again, you're going to have equal roles, equal control. And now you have limited partners. A limited partner is a partnership between a limited partner and a general partner. Now, limited partners that contribute, they can contribute cash or property. Now, I will tell you, when you have a limited partnership, it's an excellent way to raise capital for the enterprise. Now, the characteristics of a limited partner are you're going to have shares in the profits and loss, shares in profits and losses. And when it comes to management, there's no power of management, not an active member, and you're unable to file lawsuits. And I'm going to break it down further. Lawsuits should be filed through the general partner. So basically, the general partner has a lot more responsibility than a limited partner. All right, when we deal with limited partners, well, if a limited partner dies, the proprietorship does not dissolve. Why? Because there could be two or more limited partners. Now, in case of only one limited partnership, if one dies, then the partnership changes to a proprietorship. Now, when I talk about a sole proprietorship, that's what a proprietorship is. When you hear the term proprietorship, it's a sole proprietor. One person owns. It's basically, as a sole proprietor, you are self-employed. And basically, you have all of the actions of a regular employee, except you have a little bit more responsibility. Okay, advantages and disadvantages of limited partners. Okay, the advantage, well, risk is limited to the individual's investment. So the advantage is a limited partner is shielded from the liability lawsuit, and their rate of returns are known. Disadvantage, however, no voice in management. And also, if the partnership is dissolved, the limited partners will not be paid until the outside creditors have been paid. And if the assets are insufficient, the debt should be paid at the partner's private or personal funds. Silent partners. Well, these are partners in a firm, but they're not known to the public for a variety of reasons. And they're not active members in company management. Now, the reasons to dissolve a partnership is you have bankruptcy, death of a partner, duration provision, that's automatic ending of the partnership, mutual agreement. One partner is judged to be insane. One partner is deciding to withdraw. There's a change in partnership. And of course, there is a court's decision. Priorities for debts to be paid when dissolution occurs. Now, first, we deal with the outside creditors. Now, if the asset is insufficient, the debt should be paid at the partner's private or personal funds. Second, loans. Third, return each partner's capital investment. Last, the leftover assets will be distributed per the partner's agreement. Now, something that you hear in the construction industry, joint ventures. Now, we have a partnership where you have two or more persons, but now a joint venture is a partnership, but it is a temporary partnership between two or more proprietorships, partnerships, or corporations. Again, it's very popular in the construction industry. So a combined effort of two or more of construction firms, they can be utilized to build a project. And they have the ability to undertake large and or complex projects. And many joint ventures are established only to complete a project, then dissolve upon the completion of the project. The purposes of joint venturing, the purposes of joint venturing. You want to increase the bonding capacity. You also gain knowledge of the local labor market. You gain knowledge of the local labor market. Because again, when it comes to construction, you need to understand the market. And the more you understand the market as a joint venture, you may go off and try to seek contracts on your own. So it is always best to gain knowledge of the local labor market. And you gain familiarity. You become familiar with foreign governments. You can increase and enhance capabilities, knowledge, and skills. You can pull your equipment together, and you can compensate for in-house deficiencies. Other benefits, you share risks, you share profits and losses. Yeah, again, I just mentioned it before. You can minimize or eliminate competition, and you have the ability to basically take on larger, complex projects. Now, again, a lot of this is going to come from my school, Old Dominion. I used to live down in Hampton Roads. So here's a joint venture example, the HRTB expansion. HRTB is the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel expansion. Start out with a project budget. Then you have your contract type, which is design build. Then you have your contractor, which is HRCP. That's the Hampton Roads Connector Partners. So it's more than one partner that's involved with this project. They give you the time or the year the project started, and they give you the initial completion, and then they have a current expected completion. And this is what construction is about. Examples of joint venturing, or a California company may joint venture with a New York company if the work is to be pursued in New York City, where the labor suppliers and subcontractors are not known to the California company. So a steel erection company may be sought as a joint venture partner by a concrete company if the concrete company elects to construct a complex steel project. Now, cases on proprietorships. Well, generally, in 1959, a limited partnership, Pacific International Fisheries, was formed. Nelson was the general partner, and Lieberman and Winkleman were limited partners. The primary purchase of the partnership was a ship called the Jameen. On May 1st, 1959, the Jameen was destroyed by an explosion and fire initiated by Nelson. Lieberman and Winkleman sued the insurer, Atlantic Mutual Insurance Company, to recover the losses. Now, are Lieberman and Winkleman entitled to payment? Well, decision, no. The question the court decided was, can limited partners file a suit? You have to understand that limited partners can bring suit only if joined with the general partners as parties to the action. So it was concluded that only the general partner is authorized to institute suits on behalf of the limited partners. So the insurer was not required to pay. Partnership. Johnson sold logs to Mills. Johnson bought logs from Olson. Olson was not well organized as far as charging again to his clients. So as a result, some overcharging was reported against Johnson's account. So by the end of the summer of 1979, Olson owed Johnson roughly $9,700 because of his overestimating. Now, in November, Mr. Slusser started to work with Olson. Olson told Johnson he would form a partnership with Slusser. Olson quit working, but Slusser worked additional weeks. Now, Johnson refused to pay Slusser because of the $9,700, and I'm using an approximation. That was an overestimate with Olson. Did Slusser share in a $9,700 debt, or $9,723.10? Decision, no. Johnson had been paying Olson and Slusser separately. So when the partnership was created, the debt already existed. Estoppel cannot be applied to the debt. So a loan made to a partner in his individual capacity before formation of the proprietorship, of the partnership. Again, a loan made to a partner in his individual capacity before formation of the partnership is not a partnership debt. You can look up the Johnson versus Slusser 1982 case. Partnership. Murchison's son Richard was in financial difficulty, so his parents sent him a check for $13,345 to give to Mid-City. The check bounced. Mid-City sought recovery from the bonding company and received $4,000. Mid-City sued Richard, also naming his parents as partners. So for the remainder of the balance. Now, when bringing the suit, the notice was sent only to Richard and not his parents, even though they were named in the suit. So are Richard's parents also partners? Decision. The court did not answer the question. Instead, the court looked at the equity of the procedures that had been followed. Now, since Richard's parents were not notified in the suit, they were not in a position to present their case. So Mid-City had lost its right to sue Richard's parents. When you get into construction, it's one thing you need to understand the laws, because there are a lot of suits and claims that go on in this field, especially if you have a business in construction. Case on a joint venture. As a subcontractor, Carter needed financial support. When he obtained from Brown, a banker, Carter hired Campbell to oversee the books for Brown. Brown was to receive half of the benefits. The name of Carter and Company was used. Campbell handled all funds. Checks written by Campbell for Carter and Company were honored by the bank. So the Johnson brothers extended credit to Carter, assuming that Brown was a partner. The Johnson brothers later approached Brown for payment. Brown basically, he said, I'm denying this partnership. So was Brown a partner and must Brown pay the debt? Well, yes, based on the test of the intentions of the parties, the use of a company name and Campbell's actions uh, cons- uh, constituted a joint venture. Again, constituted a joint venture. So while sharing profits does not form a crucial element of a partnership, but sharing the risk does. Most importantly, Campbell was allowed by Brown to represent himself as an agent of Carter and Company. Now we get into corporations. A corporation is an independent body or entity under a special or corporate name. It's owned by one or more individuals. Also, a good thing about corporations, particularly if you have a C corporation or an S corporation, you're protecting the owners or stockholders in the firm. So basically, the owners can't be sued, the company can be sued. And with a corporation, if you have a business, it can raise capital easily. Duties and privileges that make corporations different from partnerships and proprietorships. Well, authorized to do business. They own and convey real properties. They can enter binding contracts. They will incur debts in the name of the corporation. They can bring suit and be sued in its own name. Again, corporations in a third party. Well, you have your owner, stockholder. Then you get down to your corporation. Then you get down to your board of directors and then your third parties. And this is how corporations work. This is why in the business world, when you're an employee or when you're in a management, like a Walmart, well, the owners and the stockholders are looked out for the most. And the corporation, they hire a board of directors, which they also elect the CEO and they can vote out a CEO. And then there are the third parties known as, I call them the stakeholders. So owners of a corporation are not bound personally to any indebtedness of the corporation. Now, a corporation is a separate legal entity, like an artificial person who pays income tax. A board is elected by the owners to manage the corporation. They act as agents of the corporation. Corporation will be taxed on its income apart from the individual workers and owners' tax obligations. Lawsuits are typically brought against the corporation and not the owners, and placing only the assets of the corporation at risk. This is what happens when you are a corporation. Now, corporations are formed, can be formed by one person or group of persons. Now, when it comes to a corporation, there are unique privileges, and a corporation has more formal privileges and benefits than any other business forms. This is why you want to form a corporation. Now, I will say this. If you have a sole proprietorship, you can become an LLC, a limited liability corporation. See, as a sole proprietor, when they sue somebody, they sue you. But when you have a limited liability corporation or a professional corporation, or even a S corporation or a C corporation, then the corporation is sued. And again, it is common for a proprietorship or a partnership to, again, just like I mentioned, it is common for a proprietorship or partnership to change to a corporation to take advantage of the unique features of the corporation. And a lot of your corporations are private. So basically, you have a one man or one woman show. You're doing all the work by yourself, and you find, well, let me have a corporation. That corporation, again, what's beautiful about it, it's one person. Like I have a business right now called Quality Control Inspection Services, and I function the same way as a Fortune 500 person corporation. Yes, I mean I don't have the stocks and I don't have the people, but it's still a corporation. Now, private corporations may or may not have the capital stocks. Well, I don't have stocks. A number of your corporations are public, they have stocks. So, corporations without capital are charitable, social, and educational organizations. Now, some corporations have direct interface with the public, your water, your power, your telephone. These are quasi public companies. Also, a number of these corporations are frequently granted the power of eminent domain. And these are basically all of your utility companies because they have direct interface with the public and they conduct business for private. So when we talk about eminent domain, that means they can come and take some of your property for public use. Of course, they're going to give you market value or some type of value for part of that property. And the easement or right of way is going to be utilized for the utilities. Now, if they want to enter your property, you have to have an authorization to enter. But frequently, when we have a eminent domain type of case, that's when, say, like an NDOT, they're putting a road through. Well, the plans are for the road to come through your property. Well, they're going to come out, offer you a settlement for the property, and then that property becomes theirs, and they go ahead and build the necessary project that was planned for that area. Now, stockholders, you have to understand too, stockholders are important because the owners of corporations are stockholders or shareholders. Individually, they are not agents of the corporation. Their actions. They do vote during meetings. They do not own the corporate assets. Stockholders elect their agents called directors or directors. Directors stay away from personal benefits. Shares are freely transferable. Two types of shares: common stocks and preferred stocks. Common stocks, one vote per share. Value of common stocks are the best measure of strengths. Fluctuations happen on a daily basis. Dividends with common stock, they go with profits. High dividends when profits are high. No dividends when there are no profits. So basically, if you're going to get into common stock, you have to watch the market. Now, preferred stocks, if you're not into the stock market, best way to get into it so you can understand stocks is deal with preferred stocks because they're stable with a wide variety of pricing. And why? Because the rate of return is fixed and guaranteed as long as a profit is made. So if a subsequent year is more profitable, dividends will be received for the previous profitable and non-profitable years. Now, profits are taxed by the United States government. Your profits are your dividends. Your shares are your dividends. But just like anything else, if you make a profit, you're going to be taxed. Income tax. So once the tax is paid, the remaining fund will be invested in the company or given to the owners in the form of stock dividends or both preferred. So that's how stocks work. A lot of us don't understand stocks, and this is how you can make money in business. And this is what you do in the construction industry. If you go public. Now, ultra virus activity. That's when you have corporate contracts that go beyond the scope of a corporation's implied or expressed powers. Now, sometimes occurring inadvertently, you make contracts without full authorizations. Agents, uh, they do act outside of their authority. So, an example on ultra virus activities. A firm may be incorporated as a nonprofit organization. If the firm enters into an agreement with the intent of making a profit, that would be regarded as an ultra virus contract. Now, a contract was entered in which the corporation would construct a project for 23 million. Now, if the bylaws stated that the maximum project size would not exceed 10 million, this would constitute an ultra virus contract. And again, as I sum everything up, and excuse the spelling, my old professor actually made these slides. If it were me, I would have checked the spelling, but the bottom line, it's getting the information out so you can learn something, because even though I'm dealing with construction, this information applies to any type of business that you're starting. And basically, you have the sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. So, again, when we come to the three forms of business, starting with the sole proprietorship, it's easy to establish. There are tax advantages, and it's owner control. Partnership, again, it's easy to establish. You have shared control. There are broader skills and resources, and you also have tax advantages. Corporation, it's easy to transfer ownership, easier to raise funds, and there is no personal liability. And if you look at these three forms of business organization, you have to decide what you want for yourself. If you want to go into business for yourself, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a construction business, whether it's retail, understand the types of business organization. And that is it. And what I have just shown you was forms of business organization, taught mainly in the words of construction, since I work in construction. Because construction, it is easy to get a business. You have to get a license, but you also have to understand the competition. And I will say this, if you're going into a construction business, you have to look at the market very carefully, because if the market goes south, the best areas that you can go into are remodeling, or on the inspection side, be a consultant, or you can go and work for a state or federal Department of Transportation. They are always, no matter how the economy is, people always have jobs. With case of residential building or residential construction, industrial construction, or commercial construction, when the market is great, business is great. But when it is not great, the jobs aren't there. And in the end, you're going to have businesses, if they're if there's an inkling of something, everybody's going to try to get their piece of the pie. But overall, what I've given you was PowerPoint presentation on forms of business organization. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some political content right now, you can check out my main channel, 401 Talk Zone Radio Show, and the 401 Talk Zone Radio Show 2. Because once I record all of my videos on both of these channels, the QCIS channel and the 401 Talk Zone Radio Show channel, I post my videos up, starting with the 401 Talk Zone Radio Show channel. Those videos get posted on X, formerly Twitter, and on Rumble. On Rumble, the 401 Talk Zone Radio Show channel is called the 401 Talk Zone Radio Show channel number 2. And also, the 401 Talk Zone Radio Show channel, I also upload videos once I record them on YouTube. They're also uploaded to True Social. Now for the QCIS channel, once I finish recording all the videos, just like this one, I'm going to also upload this video to X, and then I'm going to upload the video from YouTube to LinkedIn. So videos on both channels are not just on YouTube, they're on other platforms. So get there, like, share, and subscribe. And again, just want to thank you all for viewing this content right here on the QCIS channel, Forms of Business Organization. Because you're on the QCIS channel, get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. You all have a wonderful and gracious evening.